Hi everyone, I'm Josh, the Senior Compliance Manager at Snowgen Green. Today, I prepared a training session on traceability. Since 2023, the Compliance Department has been continuously conducting traceability training for major related departments. Traceability is one of the compliance issues that must continue to be maintained and managed, so I want to share its importance with you. In this session, I will share an overall background introduction, programs related to traceability of customers, and insights from that experience. Traceability refers to the ability to track and trace the history, application, or location of a product or material as it moves through the supply chain. This is critically important in various industries, including food, pharmaceuticals, electronics, and textiles. Objective. The main objective of traceability is to record and trace all stages a product goes through from raw materials to the final consumer. This enables quick identification and response when issues arise. Benefits. Quality control ensures product quality and allows for rapid identification of issues. Regulatory compliance helps meet legal requirements and regulatory demands. Transparency provides consumers with clear information about the origin and manufacturing process of products. Recall management allows for the swift retrieval of defective products, ensuring consumer safety. Components. Data recording captures all data generated during the production, processing, and distribution stages. System integration integrates data from various systems for comprehensive management. Management and monitoring continuously manages and monitors data to maintain real-time awareness. Challenges. Data accuracy. Maintaining accurate and consistent data across different stages is crucial. System complexity. Integrating data from various systems can be technically complex. Cost. Establishing and maintaining a traceability system can be costly. First of all, we need to know why leading global brands are asking traceability systems to major suppliers. The most crucial reason was the UFLPA, which applied in June 2022. The full name of UFLPA is Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. The law prohibits the import of products produced in China's Xinjiang Uyghur region and products using raw materials from the region. The Xinjiang Uyghur region is an autonomous region of China that is known for its frequent human rights violations and forced labor. The law ultimately aims to prevent the import of products that include forced labor. The UFLPA focuses on banning the production of products and the use of sources and raw materials in China's Xinjiang Uyghur region, as well as in countries with serious human rights issues such as North Korea, Turkmenistan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and etc. Customers have previously asked for commission agreements to comply with those guidelines, but have emphasized stricter and more aggressive application of regulations after the UFLPA. Currently, customers should quickly refute the violation if the product imported into the United States is suspected of violating the UFLPA, and they want to proceed through key suppliers. Also, we need to follow this trend without missing out, because the main application of UFLPA is in the same area as the textile industry. We need to be aware that the major U.S. customers are mainly delegating their tracing work to Tier 1 suppliers like ours, emphasizing our responsibilities and roles. If you understand the traceability background, you should look at the relevant customer programs. It is a bill that went into effect in U.S. under the UFLPA, and it is mainly conducted by U.S. customers in various programs. We have participated in programs such as Sourcemap, HAP, and TrusTrace, and I will briefly explain them. Sourcemap is a web platform that registers the profile information of raw material upstream companies to facilitate tracking of raw materials related to production. This is a function for mapping related companies, and it is created by linking company location information with Google Maps. Currently, Nike and Asina Nedwell Group are using Sourcemap, and each customer has separate account. The format of each customer account is similar, but not exactly the same. Since customers introduced it, they tend to neglect for a while now. HAP is a practice agency commissioned by Fanatics to an outsourcing agency for the introduction of traceability. Practice with HAP enabled us to understand the raw and subsidiary material production flow, mapping and minimum required documents. This practice was relatively basic, and the collected data focused on transaction documents, such as the invoice, packaging lists, and certificate of origin documents of each tier for the main body fabric of the finished product. We need more detailed documents according to customers' regulations. But in the first stage of training, I will only explain these simple flows, and will discuss them in detail in further training later. For your information, the key information of all supporting documents must be in English, prepared and provided to customers within 7 days of initial request. You can see the mapping flow to the customer after proceeding in order of Tier 4 source of raw material cotton, Tier 3 raw material yarn, Tier 2 raw material fabric mill, and Tier 1 sewing factory. It is not as easy to collect those documents, as it may be divided into several companies when using synthetic raw materials of upstream tier. Example, cotton A% and poly B%. We have collected the document groups marked with red square and stages with the sales department. There are three major difficulties in collecting and proceeding as follows. First, although we designated one style and proceeded it, the number of documents is vast. So there may be a problem with the storage space when we try to gather each style's documents. Second, it was difficult to prove the relationship with the designated style, because it was difficult to identify identifiers for tracking each data. Third, it is questionable whether all data can be provided within 7 days, which is the deadline of the customer's request. This is because documents cooperation in upstream is difficult, and the main information must be in English. Of course, in view of these difficulties, customers have also hosted additional training. I will also conduct training and share the materials in the future. First of all, hope you guys recognize 3 difficulties above at the current stage, and think about what your role from each position can. TrusTrace is a web platform used by Nike Fanatics that collects information, primarily from Tier 2 fabric mill and Tier 3 yarn. In particular, according to the Nike Traceability Playbook regulations, the latest valid scope certificates such as RCS, OCS, DOTS, and etc., which are certificates of products containing eco-friendly components, as well as transaction certificate, which occur between each tier, are registered on TrusTrace to facilitate mapping and tracking of upstream companies. This web platform is also in a situation where there are not many additional follow-up requests, unlike the atmosphere at the first time of early 2023. The following is the CoC Corrective Action Plan CAP that Fanatics asked the supplier to follow up. It's the traceability guideline based on both HAP and Nike traceability regulations. We were able to understand our actual current situation and get more specific information about the traceability progress. First, let's understand the concept of CoC. CoC means efficiently collecting and organizing transaction, transportation, and production documents from Tier 1 to Tier 4 to respond to traceability requests from US CBP or buyers for a specific product style. At this time, all documents must be identifiable as related to the requested style and must be in English. Mapping these documents makes it easier to understand, and I will also briefly explain the roles of Tier 1 through Tier 4 mentioned earlier. Tier 1 is a kind of supplier's finished production factory like us, and customers order PO to Tier 1 and receive the final finished product eventually, so customers ask Tier 1 to follow up traceability progress. Tier 2 is a kind of like fabric manufacturer, and all components, fabric and accessories manufacturers are under this category. Fortunately, customers just focus on the fabric that makes up the main body nowadays. Tier 3 is a kind of spinning factory that purchases raw materials, such as cotton to make yarn and delivers raw material to fabric mill. Tier 4 is kind of cotton farm or a trader. Once again, please be reminded that traceability CoC frame is to ensure that all of these Tier 1 to Tier 4 transaction, transportation, and production documents can be collected within 7 days. You have to keep this basic concept in your head so that you can easily understand the contents to be explained later. To build its own traceability operating system in the supplier Tier 1, key personnel responsible for transaction, transportation, and production documents must be designated. Therefore, as you can see, we have formed an organizational chart of major managers, including sales department, import and export department, as well as Vietnam offices MR and production management. In the event of traceability requirements, the sales department will lead the central coordination, and the compliance department will review them together. In addition, retraining is required when changing the person in charge, and the training video will take over. Among the current customers PO, we need to work with Tier 2 to evaluate whether the current traceability CoC is possible and identify the necessary measures. For your information, this CoC process was conducted mainly by supplier companies like us in Tier 1, and in the case of Tier 2, there are customers designate companies, which is why customers have to put pressure on Tier 2 to actively cooperate. And when we tried, we found that it was not easy to collect the total CoC documents from Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4. Customers also seem to be fully aware that it is not easy to proceed radically, but buyers emphasize that they can request CoC documents to supplier Tier 1 whenever, and continues to educate to achieve it. Even if you change the person in charge, we must train the person in charge and leave evidence. For this purpose, I will use this training video. In addition, the customer order sourcing procedure requires us to gather information about the upstream company, which is also a basic procedure for mapping. The collected upstream company information should be able to be screened in advance, compared to the list of prohibited companies updated from time to time by customers, US, CBP, and etc. For the prohibited companies mentioned on the previous page, Compliance Department has been designated as the person. The Compliance Department receives the upstream company information through the Sales Department and compares this information with the information on the website disclosed by the prohibited company to determine whether there is blacklist company in advance. This should be done together with mapping and screening, and more specific regulations and procedures for those will be explained in more detail through another training later. Please note that the CoC CAP contents that follow will also be conducted during the mapping and screening training. The content here also says to keep track of continuous CoC process training and records, and all documents must be kept for at least 5 years or more. Please note that it is 5 years based on Fanatics and 10 years based on Nike. After discussing this with the persons in charge, we decided to store it in each local server. But if it is not enough space in the future, we should consider using WebHard as well. This CoC procedure shows the role of each step of the members. Sales, import and export, Vietnam offices MR, production management designated of this CAP. As you can see, when buyer designates invoice number or PO number, it is a procedure to prepare CoC documents within 7 days with the person in charge of each department. Customer, Sales and Compliance Department, Vietnamese MR, and the Export-Import Department, Production Management and Tier 2. Tier 3, Tier 4. Sales and Compliance Department in the order of reply to customer. Details of each progress will be made and shared with you in the future. First of all, please recognize that this training was aimed at understanding the overall flow and the big picture. In addition, I prepared Appendix documents related to this education. If you look at the first data, you can refer to the method of collecting basic information on upstream in Ho Chi Minh Office, Vietnam. The second data is the basic information mapping tool provided by Fanatics. This is literally basic profile information, and specific CoC documents are required separately. In the next chapter, there are a list of required CoC evidence for each tier. Please note that this is only part of the customer request data, and this is a basic training. I'm going to share this educational material by email as well, so please try to remind of the concept of traceability. Lastly, I would like to talk about the difficulties of the Q&A, but in the case of the Q&A, since this training is not conducted in real time, if you have any questions after watching this video clip, please contact me by email. In any case, most inquiries will be included in future additional training so that we are going to be on the same page. And there are 3 difficulties in this process. 1. The storage method according to the vast amount of data. 2. Whether each collected tier data can be identified or not. 3. Whether it can be collected within 7 days, as requested by customer or US, CBP. These are issues that need to be continuously searched for solutions together, and we believe we need to gain insight through additional training going forward. That's all for today's training. Thank you for your watching.